students, in this lecture, we'll be discussing the fun topic of entertaining speeches. So, here's what I would like you to know and understand by the conclusion of this lecture. I would like you to be able to define entertaining speeches. I would like you to know the different guidelines for effective entertaining speeches. I would like you to understand the different types of ceremonial speeches and understand the different types of commencement speeches, after dinner speeches, and motivation speeches. So, what exactly is a speech to entertain? When you hear the word entertain, you might assume that it's like a joke-telling speech. Well, that's not exactly what a speech to entertain is. It is a speech designed to captivate an audience's attention and amuse them while delivering a clear message. So essentially, what the goal of entertaining speeches is to play with the audience's emotions a little bit. It's designed to deliver a message, but it's also, within that message, it's kind of used to kind of create a little amusement, a little comedy, while still getting a message across. Entertaining speeches can occur on a variety of different occasions, such as commencements, funerals, weddings, award ceremonies, and a variety of other events. So, let's now look at some of the guidelines for entertaining speeches. Well, the first is to be prepared. If you know, if you go to a wedding, you know that groomsmen or the maid of honor might be talking so fast as they don't know what to say, or even when you accept an award, you don't really know what to say because you're not really prepared. It's always important to be somewhat prepared, even though you're not expecting to speak. It's always important to be prepared, no matter what, because that shows your audience that you're able to, deliver and kind of give a speech on the spot. So at least have some kind of idea in case you are called on to speak. You should also adapt your speech to the occasion. Telling jokes or being funny at a funeral probably wouldn't be a good idea. So that's why it's important to make sure that you adapt it to the occasion and to the event that's going on. Adapt it, in other words, to the main theme that is really going on. It is also important to adapt your speech to your audience. Maybe, if you're at a wedding, there's a mix of different people. That's why you need to make sure you suit it to all your audience members, not just to the young or the old, but to everybody. And making sure you know who your audience is. And sometimes it's good to just do a little audience analysis before you do go up there and give a speech. Maybe, if you're going to a wedding, you're in the maid of honor, maybe just kind of have an idea of who the audience will be. Also be mindful of time. I know a lot of, not all, but most entertaining speeches are very, very, very short. So that's why it's important to be mindful of the time and to be considerate of the time, because you might have other speakers after you, or there might be some big event, like maybe after the maid of honor speech, there's going to be the wedding cake cutting. So you have to be mindful of the time. So the types of ceremonial speeches. Well, ceremonial speech is basically a speech given during a ceremony or ritual. So maybe during an award ceremony, maybe during a religious ritual. Those could be examples of where you might hear a ceremonial speech. The first type of ceremonial speech is an introduction speech, which is basically introducing another speaker to an audience. So maybe you introduce a keynote speaker might be an example of an introduction speech. So in this speech, you should have a clear introduction, clear attention getter, clear preview. You should also have a good solid body, showing made up of a point or two, and a conclusion. And it should be under 2 minutes. And like we said, time is very, very important when it comes to entertaining speeches, or just about any speech really. And then another type of ceremonial speech is a presentation, which is a speech that is given to a company, a prize, or an honor. In this speech, you explain what the word is, really explain in detail. Don't just say, well, this word is this. Make sure you explain it. And explain what the person had accomplished to receive that word. So explain what it is and then saying what the person has done in order to be worthy of this award. Speech of acceptance is the other way around. It's essentially where the speaker receiving the award will give their speech. In this speech, you should thank the person that gave you the award. So say thank you, it is such a great honor and joy to be up here, or something like that. You should also thank those that have helped you achieve the award. This is like with celebrities. If you got an award for doing a good job on a movie, you might say thank you to the director. You might say thank you to the cast members. Making sure that you're acknowledging not just yourself, but you're acknowledging the people that have helped you. And that is the most important thing, really. And then tell people why the award is meaningful to you. Why is it so special? What does it mean to you? And then you should conclude by ending it by saying thank you again. A toast, which I'm sure all of you, or most of you, are familiar with, which is usually something that occurs at a wedding or some other event. A toast is designed to congratulate or appreciate someone. So in this speech, you should keep your remarks brief. Don't ramble because your audience is just going to get tired and bored with you. Make sure to stay brief. Like, I'm so happy for you guys. You guys make such a cute couple. I'm so honored to be standing up here speaking about you or something like that, but don't go on and on and on. And to also focus on the person being toasted. And this is true for all entertaining speeches, focus on the audience, not yourself. Focus on them. Don't focus on yourself. Speech of farewell. Speech, maybe you say goodbye to others, like if you're leaving for a new job or something like that. So you should, in this speech, express how much the experience has meant to you, and then on a positive note. So say, it was such a joy working here. I had such a great experience. You all are wonderful colleagues. So really showing your appreciation, and then ending on a positive note is, maybe you say, we'll come back and visit you all are so amazing, or something like that. To end really positively. Sometimes speeches of farewell, you're so sad, so it's sometimes good to end on a positive note. The next type of speech is speech for commencements. This is designed to recognize the achievements of the graduating class. So, things to remember when giving a commencement speech. Make sure speech addresses them at the commencement. So, like I was saying in the previous slide, make sure that you're addressing the graduates. Make sure you're focused on the graduates. Talk about your experiences and how graduates can learn from your experiences. When I graduated from RCC, which is where I got my associate degree, there was a guy who came and talked about how he had to put, handcuffs on this hitchhiker or whatever, and he talked about how his experiences could relate to us as the graduates, kind of like getting out of our comfort zone and, being kind of familiar with situations that, might be something new to us. So he was trying to tell us about his own experiences and how they can relate to us. Make speech humorous and be brief. Like the hitchhiking that I was telling you, it was very humorous. It got people to laugh, which is good. But make sure you don't go overboard. Don't go telling joke to joke. Don't go overboard. And be brief. And I think I've said it millions of times. Make sure that you're brief and to the point. And focus on them, like we already said, and show graduates how they can use your advice in their own lives. So give them a little bit of advice, give them a little bit of tips on how they can succeed in the real world. Okay, after dinner speaking. Now, it's not necessarily what you think. And after dinner speech, you probably think of like eating dinner and then an after-dinner speech is an informative or persuasive speech with the goal of making people laugh. The speech relies on effective delivery. Essentially, what an after-dinner speech is, from what I've been told, because I've been on the speech team, it's basically the softer side of persuasion. So you're telling a persuasive message, but it's kind of lighthearted. And the method for preparing an effective after-dinner speech is to use all that you have learned about important persuasive speaking, because basically what I said, an after-dinner speech is basically just an informative or persuasive speech, just lighthearted version. And use that to prepare an informative or persuasive speech that is 2/3 the length of what the final speech will become. And then once you do that, once you prepare like a little draft, you will then, once you prepare a draft, you will then find ways to incorporate that humor into the draft. So you start off by giving a draft, and then you find ways to incorporate humor and little lightheartedness into the draft. So tips on effectively using humor in after-dinner speeches. The first is to personalize humor when possible, and making sure that it is natural and that it's personable. Don't use humor that you don't know well or find funny. Don't use humor that you're not familiar with, because it might come off bad, it might come off, your audience isn't going to get it, so make sure that you use humor that you know and that you can laugh at and have fun with. Don't drag it out and know when to stop joking. Don't, like I said previously, don't go over it with the humor. That's not the purpose of entertaining speeches. Yeah, the purpose is to entertain, but it's not to go overboard. Make sure you entertain and tell little comics, but don't go overboard. Don't explain the humor if it fails or apologize if others don't laugh. I've always been taught, in my public speaking experience, when I was a freshman, I actually apologized for not showing a photo. I know. And a teacher once told me, Chelsea, don't apologize for your mistake. Just go on, move on, and don't acknowledge it. That's what you need to do with any kind of speech, not just after-dinner speeches, any kind of speeches. Making sure that you don't apologize, you just move on or don't even acknowledge that mistake. Motivational speaking is designed to make audience experience emotion and do something with that emotion. So it's kind of like to stir the audience emotion and make them do something with that emotion. Types of motivational speeches. The hero speech, given by someone that is a hero in society. Maybe the President of the United States might be an example of somebody who might give a hero type of speech. Survivor speech is given by someone who has experienced a tragedy or adversity. I know there is a lot of people, back when it happened, but I think even today that we'll talk about the tragedies that they faced on like 9/11, or the families that they lost. They will talk about that tragedy. That would be an example of a survivor speech. And success speech is given by someone who has succeeded at some point in their lives and is telling others how they can be successful. So a successful person, maybe it's a famous person who has done something remarkable, and they're kind of telling how they can be successful like them, is essentially what that type of speech is. So, thank you all, and I hope you enjoyed this lecture. It's a fun one for me too. And I look forward to talking with you all soon. Thank you.